Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today we're going to do a wrap up. This is basically everything I've read in 2023 so far because January was not a great reading month. I was struggling to balance my time, and I was finding a lot of my reading time was taking the back seat. And so in January, I didn't really have a whole lot to talk about, so I didn't do an official wrap up for January. But February was much better. I have definitely found more of my reading groove. I've been reading more, making it a priority more, and noticing that I'm making a conscious decision to sit down and read versus doing other things. So I have quite a few books to talk about here because this is January and February combined. The total so far for 2023, I have finished 10 books and DNF'd 3. 3 books I DNF'd in the past 2 months. I just wasn't having it apparently. But of the ones that I did finish, I really enjoyed. Okay, so there are a couple of stacks here that I have already talked about these books. I either did a reading vlog or I've done a wrap-up video for them. So I'll just show them to you real quick, tell you what my star ratings were. But if you want more of my full thoughts and you missed those videos, I'll leave them linked down below. So the first one is my 5-star predictions, my most recent 5-star predictions. I had these 3 books on there. The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, I gave 4 stars. Mudvayne by Taryn Fisher, I gave 4 stars. And The Storyteller by Jodi Picoult, I did not finish. It's a DNF for now. I'm putting it back on my shelves. It just wasn't the right time for me to read and enjoy this one. So I recognize that, decided to put it back on my shelves. I'll get to this again one day, but I need to be in the right mood for it. But these are in my 5-star predictions wrap up. I also have a video that features these 3 books, and this was a reading vlog where the customers that I help at my store were the ones who were picking what I was going to be reading next. So I went into a whole reading vlog for that. So the first one is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I gave this one 2 stars. I have Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I gave this one 4 stars. And I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara. I gave this one 3 stars. So more details on my full thoughts on these are in my reading vlog. Okay, so now on to the books that I can talk about. So All the Dangerous Things by Stacey Willingham. I read this one on my Kindle because I do have it from NetGalley, but I grabbed this one when it was a book of the month pick because I loved her first book so much and I knew that I wanted to read this one. And this one I absolutely loved as well. It was a 5-star read for me. I just really connect with her writing, and not everybody does, and I get that. But something about it just completely keeps me interested and connected the entire time that I'm reading her books. I'm never once bored. I am never once wishing it would go a little bit faster. It is a little bit of a slower read, but I enjoyed it. And I really liked everywhere that she took us with this because she was taking me in directions I wasn't expecting and had me thinking about things that I'd never thought about when I was trying to figure some things out in here. And I love that about her writing because she did that in her first one as well. So this follows a woman who is dealing with the aftermath of the loss of her son. Her son was actually kidnapped from his crib in the middle of the night while she was sleeping. And she is dealing with the guilt of that. Why didn't she wake up? Why didn't she know anything was wrong? How could she, wait so long in the morning to go get him up because he wasn't up, and she just took her time to enjoy that as a mother. Totally relatable. And she's dealing with all the guilt with that because she's really blaming herself. And this is following her a year after that happened, and her marriage is falling apart, and her whole life is falling apart. She is still trying to figure out what happened to her son. She still believes that he's alive. She wants him home. She was doing everything that she can still to bring him home to an obsessive point. And she is investigating people and putting herself purposefully in the limelight to keep his case alive, to keep people interested, to keep people talking about it so that something can happen to where he's able to be brought home. And so you're following her through all that. You're also following what happened to her as a child, which is very interesting. And I loved it. It was a total 5-star for me. Stacey Willingham is a favorite. And then I picked up The City of Brass. This is by S.A. Chakraborty. And this is an adult fantasy trilogy, first book. and I loved it. I read this along with a group from the Currently Reading Patreon group, and it was so much fun. Not everybody stuck with it, but me and like 2 other girls stuck it out till the end. I think of the 3 of us, I liked it the most, but I absolutely loved it. This was another 5-star book, and I cannot wait to read the rest of the trilogy. I do have the other 2 books on my shelves, but this is set in an alternate version of Cairo, Egypt, where we are seeing that there is a human world and there is a magic world. And we're seeing our main character discover that she can be part of the magic world. She discovers the new magic world, and she has some powers that she is trying to be comfortable with and control, but also keep hidden from humans, because she knows that this is not, something that everybody is aware of, and she doesn't want to be seen differently because of her magical powers. So she's trying to use them to her advantage, but also keep it secret. And one day, she accidentally summons a djinn. And he is not happy about this. He is very angry that he has been summoned. And so you see them working together to figure out how she summoned him, why he's there, what's the significance here. And then he ends up taking her to this magical Cairo area that she never knew about, because that's where he's from. And so you see her being introduced to this world and the magic system and the politics and all these things. And it was so good. You guys, I was laughing quite a bit because there are some really funny moments in here, and just really kind of seeing her get acclimated to this new world was really good, and how she fits into it was really good, and how he fits into it was really good. We're still kind of learning about that even at the end of the first book. And I was consistently interested, and it took some turns that I wasn't expecting, which I loved. There were some parts that were just really thrilling, and I could not turn the pages fast enough, and I just loved it. So very happy that I loved it, because I've heard really good things about this book. I'm definitely on that bandwagon as well. So loved it, 5 stars. Okay, and then next, I read The Soul of an Octopus by Cy Montgomery. This I read with my friend Jennifer, and this book was a gift from Lindsay for my birthday. You guys, this book was phenomenal. It's not very long. It's a nonfiction book, literally about the octopus. And we're following the author's experience researching these animals and interacting with these animals, and, scuba diving with these animals, and just, they are incredible. I have always been interested in the octopus as an animal. So I feel like you do kind of need to have an interest in it in order to really enjoy this, because I was fascinated the entire time. Just the intelligence level of them, and how they each have their own distinct personality, and you really feel that coming out. Like, I feel like I know these octopuses that are in here. I feel like I know them, like they would be friends because they have such distinct personalities, and you see that in here and how they interact with humans. And just learning about them, about how their bodies work, is insane. I really just felt like I knew them. And then you're seeing a lot, most of this happens at the New England Aquarium, which is in Boston. And I have been there. We went to Boston over spring break when we were living in Rhode Island. And so she was describing the aquarium, and I can picture it clearly because I've seen it. And then she actually mentioned a lot about the sea turtle that lives there, and her name is Myrtle. She is still there. I've seen Myrtle, which is really, really cool. So I was looking up our old pictures from the aquarium and looking through them again and seeing Myrtle and all that. I was like, oh, cool. She's still there. So yeah, this is it's super fascinating, you guys. And I was having so many emotions, and just the ins and outs of the aquarium itself and how it works, and the things that it takes to do certain things in the aquarium was so fascinating. And I just was never bored. It was so interesting, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. This was a total 5-star read, and I want to touch an octopus now. The next one that I read was a library book. You guys, I went to the library. I picked a book off the shelves, and then I brought it home and I read it. Look at me. Look at me go. I picked up Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. This is the graphic novel. So the artwork is by Danica Nagorvodov. And this is the graphic novel adaptation of his novel, Long Way Down, which is a novel written in verse. It's a young adult novel. It is phenomenal. I love that book. And I wanted to read the graphic novel adaptation because this is a really great way to revisit the story without like reading the full novel again. And the artwork in here is fantastic. It fits the story so well. So this follows a young boy named William. He is living in a rough neighborhood with his family, and he lives in an area where there's a lot of gang violence, and he and his family are really affected by that. He loses his brother very early on in the book to gang violence, and he is having an emotional reaction to this tragic event to where he wants revenge because that's the natural order of things according to him. And he is ready to go and confront his brother's supposed killer. He's pretty sure he knows who it is. And he gets on the elevator in his apartment building with a gun and is ready to go confront him and take his revenge. And on the way down from his apartment to the lobby, every single floor is a stop, and somebody from his life gets on the elevator, and he has a very meaningful encounter with that person about his decision, what he's doing, why he's doing it, all that stuff. So it's so good. It is so good. And this was 5 stars. Like the graphic novel was really great as well, just as good as the book. Gave me the same feelings, and just some of the lines that he writes are just like poetry. They are so beautiful and meaningful and hard-hitting, and I absolutely love Jason Reynolds, so loved it. 5 stars. The next one that I finished was Secluded Cabin Sleep 6 by Lisa Unger. This is one that I started out reading the physical book, and then I switched to audio because it was just going to go down a little bit easier and quicker for me. And the audiobook is narrated by Vivian Lahaney, and she was great. So this is a mystery thriller book that follows a family who is taking a kind of vacation type, just a little getaway to a cabin in the woods in Georgia. And it's all orchestrated by the brother of the family. So it's him and his sister, his wife, his sister's husband, and 2 of their friends as well are all going on this trip, and just to kind of get away and relax and stuff. And so we are following different perspectives, and you kind of see what starts happening. Some weird things start happening, and you're kind of just trying to figure out what's going on. Not everybody makes it out alive, like that type of thing. And I enjoyed this. It was good. It was fun. I was definitely trying to piece things together, trying to figure out, who was who and what was going on. And there's lots of secrets and things are coming out and all that stuff. And I liked the overall premise of it. I liked some of the reasons why things were happening. But some of the connections between the characters were a little far-fetched for me. I was just kind of like, okay, sure. I just kind of had to go along with it. But I mean, overall, I think it was fine. I don't think it was anything fantastic or amazing or new. But it was a good time. I just have a feeling that over time, I'm probably going to forget a lot of the details and just not really remember it later on down the road. But when I was reading it, it was a good time. So I landed on a 3-star for this one. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the other 2 books that I DNF'd. I did DNF The Storyteller, which I talked about already, but another one that I did was The Young Widower's Handbook by Tom McAllister. So this was a book I was reading on my Kindle because I did have it from NetGalley, and then this is also a Christmas book exchange book from a few years ago. And I don't know, I got 30% through it, and I just wasn't having a good time. This is definitely a book steeped in grief. We are following a man who has lost his wife. They are young, and how he's dealing with that. And it really was just kind of bringing me down and bringing my mood down. And I wasn't enjoying my time reading it at all. When I decided to put it down, he was driving around the US with his wife's ashes in the car with him. and he was going on an adventure with his wife. And I don't know, it just wasn't for me. So that's okay. It's all right. I recognized it, put it down, moving on. And then the other one that I DNF'd was actually my first book of the year. This is the first book I picked up in 2023, and I ended up DNFing it. And that is Runaway Vampire by Lindsay Sands. This is the 23rd book in the Argento Vampire series. 23rd. I read book 22 late last year, and I didn't like it. I gave it 2 stars. And so I was like, okay, I need to figure out if it was just the book or if it's me. You know, have I maybe gone away from this series? I don't know. I just really didn't like the last one. And so I wanted to give the next one a read just to see if it was me or if it was the book. It's me. So I just really think I've outgrown the series. I really think I'm just kind of done with it. I was reading this one. This is another one that I got 25% through it, and I was trying so hard, but I just wasn't enjoying it. And the writing felt very repetitive to me to an obnoxious point, and that was my problem with the last one as well. And I don't know. When I started reading this series, I really had fun with it. I was, really into it. Obviously, I read up to book 23, so I obviously enjoyed some of it. And I really like the premise of the series. I really like how vampires came to be. The way that that's explained is really cool, but I just think I'm done with it. I think it's done its job for me, and I'm good to go. I don't think I need to read anymore. So I'm going to officially DNF the Argento Vampire series by Lindsay Sands. If you want to get started, I think the earlier books were so much fun, and I really did have a good time reading a lot of them. But as the series goes on and on, I think I'm just kind of over it by now. So that's okay. I'm recognizing it, and time for me to move on. I can appreciate what I read when I read it. It was a great time, but I'm going to move on to other things now. Okay, guys, that's it. So that is everything I have read / DNF'd in 2023 so far. Like I said, my reading has really taken an upswing, which I'm really happy about. I'm getting a little bit more of a balance in my life. I feel like I'm in a good place now. So very happy with what I've read so far. I think March is going to be a good month as well. I have some lofty plans for March, but I know that I'm also not going to be able to get to everything I pulled, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm definitely doing middle grade March, which I'm excited about. And I am excited to pick up a couple other things here and there in between those as well. So let me know down below what your thoughts are. Have you read any of these books? Are you planning to pick any of them up? Let me know what has been some really good books that you read in February or even January. Let me know that down below too. And I will see you guys again soon. Hope you have a great day. Bye.